want to hold both, it is possible to still have faith and to still be queer, or still be trans or non-binary, or fill in the blank, right? Like you can have it all. And I think you were right. Like maybe you can't go back to the evangelical space or the Orthodox Jewish space, but like you can find Christianity again. You can find Reformed Judaism, and you can find community.
Absolutely. And I think you pointed at something that is important where
Sure.
something that folks tend to get stuck on is, but if I come out, all these people who've been my friends, oftentimes my family members, my immediate family members are all not going to accept me or not even give me the time of day, and become effectively make themselves the enemy, right? This like, I want to still be friends with you actually, but you're not letting me, right? So that, I mean, there's something very real, the us versus them mentality that comes when you're in the in group, it sticks. So then if you say, I still want to be in though, other people might kind of push you out. So that makes me feel like, oh, okay, it's either this or that, but that maybe there's a different context then. Where, we're actually all are welcome.
Sure. But I think you're right. I think that there is still loss, right? Often. Absolutely. I mean, I know I've seen that with clients. It sounds like you've seen that with friends or clients or family, right? There is still loss. Like you can have both. And yes, maybe not in the way of this conservative space, right? It doesn't matter the religion or the faith, but there is still loss. Like if family still continues to practice in a way that, doesn't support who you are, not the choice you made, right? But actually who you are, right? And I'm sure, I mean, I know I see that with clients that really struggle with fully embracing their sexuality or gender, and family not understanding it, and the kind of the messages of choice, and really struggling because they want that relationship with family, but they want the love. They don't want the hate or the choice. And it's a really hard and lonely place to sit. Even when I can find faith, right? If that's the choice I make, there still is loss. I'm sure you see it.
Absolutely. It's just so I see it so much, and it's almost like the more I see it, the more in disbelief I feel, rather than like, oh, here it is again, right? That's just like, it just makes no sense, right? And it's happening over and over and over again. I think like, couldn't we just open our eyes for a second and see that someone we care about is wanting love? Like, that's it. Like, and acceptance for, who we are. And I'm saying we, even though I'm, cisgender, but it's like, we're all human. And so this feeling of like, I would want that. Like, so how could we, I get so upset about it. And like, almost the more it happens, it's like, how ridiculous is this? It's such a common experience, and it's still happening. And there's fortunately some people individually who are kind of putting in the work, and coming around, but it's going to be kind of the majority story that I hear. So,
but you're holding, like, when you were kind of like rolling your eyes, but I know it's in like a sarcastic, supportive, like, this is ridiculous, right? Like, I'm upset with you, right? Like, I really would think, at least for clients and people, right? I'm not that clients are people, but like friends that are not in a therapeutic like setting, like that is really empowering for them to have someone allying with them, when you're saying like, it's not fair, like this isn't okay. And you can really, right? I didn't grow up in this like very fundamentalist kind of world, and you can use language that I'm sure clients can really understand and like dispute with them, and just be like, this really isn't fair. Like I wish that family could love you because you're a blah, 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 right? A wonderful person. There's nothing wrong with who you are. And it's not what they were taught. And I feel sad, right? That you're still losing in some ways, even though you're gaining who you are with clarity, you're still losing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big process. Like it could be different. It's easy to see how it doesn't feel like there's that many steps that need to be taken for it to be different, right? It's just like, if you could just think a little harder, right? I
really like that point, by the way. Like, this doesn't have to be as hard as everyone's making it sound, in a way.
Right.
Like,
But it is, right. It doesn't, for the person for whom, they're in a certain belief system, it's not so simple. And then maybe for that person, right, if they do become affirming towards their child or, whoever it might be, well, then now they're maybe losing their support network. Right.
Absolutely.
So it just like, again, I would like to think that I would give up everything for my children, but it's more complicated than just like, let me think about this a little bit. But it just internally, there's only just a couple of steps to go from here to there to, having a loving relationship with somebody who you care about versus just,
who you love, right? And like that, it's your kid, like it's who you raise, who you care for. You're right, but you're right. Like there is a domino effect that you see, especially in more conservative spaces of any almost religion. At least if I hear from clients and people I know, and I watch way too many documentaries on like kind of a more conservative upbringing. And you're right, because if your parents then embrace you, their community may not embrace them, and then they lose too. And then I'm sure the client or the person you know or the person you work with, like, as much it feels great that parents are supporting you, like it's also sad because you knew how much that faith meant to them in some capacity, or that community that you've probably had for like 40-50 years, I'm assuming, right? Or maybe it's in the who knows.
right.
Yeah. You're right. It's not simple steps. You wish people could maybe have like a little bit of a paradigm shift or question things, I think is what you're saying, before losing their kid or kids.
Right. Yeah. I know it's so much more complicated internally.
Sure.
I mean, like I've worked with some parents.